The Bahamas and the U.S. Virgin Islands are an exotic and exciting tropical travel destination. And in the next hour, I'll show you the magnificent sights of Nassau and the rest of the Bahamas. You'll learn where to go, what to do, and how to plan your vacation. I'll show you how to get around, along with practical tips that will help you go everywhere and see everything within your own budget. You'll learn where to shop, what to buy, and how to get the most from your money, even when you're shopping for fabulous imported jewelry. I'll show you local Bahamian cuisine, as well as restaurants for grand gourmet dining, and those tropical drinks that have made this part of the world famous. You'll find out where to stay, what to do during the day and night, plus you'll see all the exciting activities available. And we'll visit beautiful beaches and secluded coves when we head south to the U.S. Virgin Islands of St. Thomas, St. Croix, and St. John. All this and more, beginning with the Bahamas. Starting as close as 50 miles from Florida, their capital is Nassau on New Providence Island. Hi, I'm Laura Mackenzie, and welcome to the islands. Right now I'm in Nassau, the capital of the Bahamas, and the most popular tourist destination in the whole Bahamas Caribbean area. And here is where we'll begin our tour. Sightseeing in Nassau will center on both local sites and relics of its past ties with Great Britain. Downtown Nassau is the hub of all local activities and commerce. The majority of the Bahamas' 200,000 people live here and in Freeport. The city boasts the finest modern amenities and services, but every corner also sports reminders of its colorful past. Nassau's natives originally came from South America and braved the ocean in their dugout canoes. Columbus discovered the islands in October of 1492, but the Bahamas weren't officially settled until the British decided to colonize the islands in the 17th century. Here, the British ruled and defended the Bahamas against all invaders, including the Spanish and the pirates. In 1973, the Bahamas gained independence and centered their government here at Government House. Even though the British don't actively rule here anymore, a lot of the tradition still lingers. You can see the changing of the guard every other Saturday morning at 10 a.m. at Government House. And believe me, they really put on a show. Another colorful marching sight is the Parade of Flamingos at the Ardastra Gardens outside downtown Nassau. The flamingo is the national bird of the Bahamas. Show times for the flamingos are 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. Monday through Saturday. The Botanic Garden next to the Ardastra Gardens is made up of 18 acres of tropical flowers and trees. It's a great spot for walking, for relaxing, or even for getting married. Nassau also has more traditional places for weddings. Just about every denomination is represented by a historic old church. St. Andrew's Presbyterian Church is over 175 years old and is open to the public weekdays. Other impressive church sites to visit include Christ Church Cathedral, St. Matthew's, and Trinity Methodist Church, built in 1860. They're scattered throughout the city, and you'll definitely need a map to find them. Your hotel concierge or the tourist office can oblige. The top of the water tower has the best view of Nassau. And if you don't want to climb the 216 steps to get to the top, you can take an elevator for 50 cents. I took the elevator. And the view of Nassau and neighboring Paradise Island is breathtaking. From here, you can see many other sights, including Prince George Wharf and the Queen's Staircase, a legendary flight of 66 steps, with one step built for each year of Queen Victoria's reign. The stairs lead to Fort Finn Castle, built in the shape of a ship's prow. Both the stairs and the fort are right next to the water tower. Fort Charlotte is the largest of the old forts and offers a variety of moats, ramparts, and battlements. You can walk around within the walls. Gregory Arch is the entrance to an old slave settlement and is located on a ridge overlooking Nassau. All of these sites are easy to reach, but remember, parking is difficult in downtown Nassau, so you may want to put on some comfortable walking shoes and make your tour on foot. Be sure to visit the main tourist center on Bay Street near the Straw Market for maps and information. In review, here are some of the highlights to see in Nassau. These are more sights in downtown Nassau. The changing of the guard is held on alternate Saturdays at 10 a.m. Be sure to arrive early to see the Royal Bahamas Police Force and Band perform. The tourist headquarters are located on Bay Street near the Straw Market. Many streets in Nassau have no sidewalks, film is very expensive, dress is casual, but bathing suits are never worn in town. Getting around in Nassau is easy. There's both private and public transportation. Taxi rates are metered and fixed by law. There is no bus service from the airport, so you'll most likely have to take a taxi. Beware of unmarked pirate taxis that have no meters. Their prices are exorbitant.
Renting a car here is easy. You don't need an international driver's license. Your regular driver's license is fine. The steering wheel's on the left. The only thing you have to remember is you drive on the left. Uh-oh.
Daily rates for car rentals range from $45 to $75, and you can rent them at most major hotels. Roads here range from fair to poor, and you have to wear your seatbelt at all times. Drive on the left. The famous traffic director is in front of Rawson Square. Instead of large buses, public transit here is by jitney or minibus. There is usually just one low rate of under $1 for any distance, and most hotels offer complimentary shuttle or bus service to various shopping destinations in Nassau. You can also rent motor scooters for another easy and fun way around the island. You need a driver's license in order to rent, and crash helmets are mandatory. You have to be at least 21 years old, and you must obey all the normal traffic laws.
Getting around in the Bahamas should definitely include one of Nassau's famous horse-drawn carriages. A 20 to 25-minute ride should cost you about $8, and the driver expects a $2 tip.
Carriages can be found near Rawson Square in the center of the city. Don't rent at rush hour or the car fumes and traffic could ruin your ride. In review, car rental is easy with your U.S. driver's license and available at most hotels and the airport. The speed limit is 25 to 30 miles an hour, and you should wear seatbelts. Crash helmets are mandatory when renting motor scooters. Hitchhiking is illegal, parking can be difficult, and remember to drive on the left. Taxi rates are fixed by law, and the usual tip is 15%. Watch out for unmarked pirate taxis. Jitneys are the public transport here and are very inexpensive. Also, many hotels provide complimentary shuttle service to certain locations. There are some great buys in the Bahamas, especially with many imported European items. These items are not duty-free. That means there is a customs tax imposed on them, but they're still much cheaper than you'd find elsewhere. Bay Street is the main shopping district. Its 8-block stretch is filled with all kinds of imported and local items, including great European named crystalline china, German and Japanese camera and optics, and many linens and fashions at nearly 20 to 50% less than you'd find in the United States. Local Bahamian candy at the Best Ever Candy Company is also a favorite. For more local Bahamian items, the Straw Market is where to shop. Open 7 days a week, the Straw Market features native handcrafted products, and you should know that any local commodities and handicrafts are duty-free, with no customs taxes imposed when you take them back to the United States. If you're going to be in Nassau on a Sunday, save the Straw Market for then. Most shops take American money, but change can come back in Bahamian dollars. Become familiar with the color and shape of the currency. If you exchange money, banks give the best exchange rate. There are hundreds of different banks in Nassau, and most are open 9:30 to 3 Monday through Thursday and 9:30 to 5 on Fridays. International banking is big business in the Bahamas due to its tax-free status, but restrictions do apply. Credit cards are also widely accepted, but be sure to check with the hotel, shop, or restaurant before you make your purchase. The most popular purchase in the Bahamas are imported gems and precious stones.
Jewelry is a great buy here, especially watches and emeralds, and there really are some unusual pieces. For example, coins. Look at this one. It's a gold coin surrounded by diamonds. It's fantastic. But if you really want something unusual, how about this? It's a Spanish piece of 8 mounted in gold. It's authentic, too. It dates back to the 1600s, and it was salvaged from the waters around here. Now, wouldn't that make a great souvenir?
There are local jewelry items as well as imported ones, and the most popular pieces are made of coral and conch shell. Many of the best quality jewelry shops are located in the major hotels.
Right now I'm talking to Ansel Saunders of Island Gems in the Cable Beach Hotel. Ansel, why is jewelry so inexpensive here in Nassau?
Well, one reason is because we work with a lower markup, plus there are no taxes on the jewelry here in the Bahamas.
Is there one thing that's a better buy than something else?
Yes, watches are much better buy than the say some of the Italian jewelry. Plus the emeralds are.
I notice you have some really unusual pieces that I've never seen anywhere. Can you tell me about some of them?
Yeah, we have special designer pieces such as, for instance, this turtle here. This is a special design from France. So we try to get a variety of pieces from all over.
Duties are imposed on all jewelry except unset Colombian emeralds when you return to the U.S., but the savings on the original price still make it worthwhile, especially since you can return with $400 worth duty-free. Duty-free means that customs taxes are not imposed on imported goods. U.S. residents can take $400 worth of purchases home duty-free every 30 days. Most of the shopping in Nassau is on Bay Street and at the Straw Market. Hotel shops are a surprisingly good source for quality items and unusual designs. The best buys on imported goods are watches and Colombian emeralds, along with perfume, crystal, linens, and Bahamian-made items. Most shops are open Monday through Saturday from 9 to 5. The Straw Market is open 7 days a week. Exchange your money at banks only. Personal checks are not accepted, but credit cards and traveler's checks commonly are.
The restaurants and cafes here are for the most part casual. And what I love is that there's so many outdoor dining spots with fantastic views.
There are all kinds of eateries here in the Bahamas with every kind of food imaginable. The Green Shutters is a moderately priced restaurant that serves English food like steak and kidney pie, along with Bahamian fish and seafood. While you're here, be sure to try several local dishes, as any native will advise you.
Hello, my name is Vernal Sands. My travel tip to the Bahamas, it's its culture, it's junkanoo, it's fire dance, it's limbo, and of course, it's food.
Seafood is the main local cuisine, but there are also a few other meat dishes made with Bahamian spices. Johnny Cake is a real favorite that tastes best right from the oven, but it's Bahamian lobster called crawfish that's a real delicacy, as well as crab, turtle, and shark. Bahamians are most proud of their conch, however. It's a local shellfish that can be prepared in many different ways, including conch salad, fritters, and chowders.
Potter's Key Dock, right underneath the bridge to Paradise Island, is where to come for fresh conch, and believe me, it really is fresh. Watch this.
The conch are taken right from their shell and then diced or cooked up immediately. Its high protein content supposedly accounts for its aphrodisiac qualities. Conch should only be eaten if they're creamy white, never if they're dark gray. Sometimes pearls are discovered in a shell, so eat yours carefully. Vendors will make conch salad for you. Conch, onions, tomatoes, cucumbers, and lime juice. But conch stands are just one place to enjoy Bahamian food.
You know, a lot of times people ask me, where can I go to dinner that has fantastic food, a lot of atmosphere, that could be very romantic, and maybe has some kind of historical significance? Well, there's only one place like that in the Bahamas, and it's called Grey Cliff. Let me show you.
Grey Cliff features gourmet dining in an elegant setting, and its history is just as colorful.
This restaurant was built in 1730 by a pirate, and became the house of the various governors of the Bahamas until it was bought in 1930 by Mrs. Killam, who was one of the wealthiest ladies in Canada. The restaurant was formed the way it is right now, trying to keep all the antiques, all the original ambience and the original charm of this house in about around 1974. We have created probably one of the most extensive wine cellars, for sure in the Caribbean and probably also in the world. And the restaurant is enjoying the reputation of being the only 5-star in the Caribbean.
Any restaurant is only as good as its chef, and I had a chance to talk to Philip Bethel, a Bahamian who's been head chef at Grey Cliff for 10 years. Combining French and Bahamian cooking, he's famous all over the Caribbean, and I asked him to explain his style.
I would say that it is based on the classical roots, and we've given a nouvelle cuisine touch that is very famous around today in cooking. But most of all, I'd say that our cooking has come to a point where we can say it's Grey Cliff style now.
And along with any Bahamian cuisine, you have to try the local tropical drinks like a Bahama Mama, a Goombay Smash, or a Bahama Surprise, and they do pack a punch.
All the good life.
This is a list of some local Bahamian food you might want to try. Most dishes are seafood. Peas and rice is the national side dish. Other local dishes include mafe and kalaloo. Plantains are like bananas, but never eat them raw. They must be cooked to be properly enjoyed. All varieties of food are available, but the local food is cheaper. Don't be impatient with slow service. Make sure that you don't tip if a service charge has already been put on your bill. This is a list of the top restaurants in Nassau. These are some moderately priced restaurants. And here's a few suggestions for those on a budget. The range of accommodations in the Bahamas is as broad as its range of restaurants. Grey Cliff itself is also one of the top hotels in Nassau. Similar to an English country house, it only has 12 luxury rooms and a poolside cottage. Filled with beautiful old antiques as well as the most modern conveniences, it has been home to such luminaries as the Duke and Duchess of Windsor, Aristotle Onassis, and the Beatles. Nassau is full of other first-class hotels, and one is sure to meet your specifications. Most places offer a European plan. That means no meals included, or a modified American plan that includes breakfast and dinner in its price. It's not unusual to find a 15% service charge added to your bill, as well as a 6% government tax. Check out those details before you check in. The Cable Beach Hotel is the newest addition to the top hotel list, and it's one of the best. With over 700 balconied rooms, 5 restaurants, and its own casino, you might not ever feel like leaving the hotel. Prices can vary seasonally, and you'll probably get the best deal if you come during off-season.
You can save a lot of money at the major resorts, up to 50% if you avoid the high season of winter. Summer is when the rates are lowest, and you can save even more if you ask for a room without a view of the water.
The Cable Beach Hotel features a fantastic pool and a poolside waterfall, but it also offers something extra, its very own private beach. And when you come to the Bahamas, it's impossible to stay away from the water, as these are some of the best beaches in the world. You can play in the surf or loll in the sun, whichever you choose. You'll see why Bahamas beaches regularly make the top 10 beach list around the world. During peak season, some of the beaches can get overcrowded. One solution to this problem is to try parasailing way up over the crowds. Or you can get away from Nassau and explore other parts of New Providence Island, where there are many secluded and deserted beaches. Some good beaches include Adelaide Beach, Caves Beach, Fort Montague Beach, and Goodman's Bay. The most popular beach in Nassau lies on Paradise Island, which is a small island off the coast of Nassau and connected to it by a bridge. It costs $2 for cars or scooters to cross the bridge, but only 25 cents to walk.
Take the bridge from Nassau across to Paradise Island. Here you'll find another casino, some fabulous resorts, and a beautiful beach.
If you're not a hotel guest, there's a $3 entry fee to Paradise Beach, but that includes towels, changing rooms, lockers, and showers, along with a welcoming cocktail for adults.
My name's Mario McNeil. I came down to the Bahamas here with a couple of my buddies from New York City, and a couple of guys asked me, where do I want to go? What do I want to do down here? And I got to tell you, there's a lot to see, so what you want to do is you want to catch all the beaches. Here we're right now, presently on Paradise Island. A couple of days ago, I went down to Cable Beach. About a 15-minute ride from here, very enjoyable. Got a casino over there, just like you do down here. A lot of good stuff to see.
And there's plenty to do both on and off the beach. There are volleyball nets and parasailing docks for the more adventurous, or just chairs and a blanket for those who want to relax. Inland, there are even more activities than there are on the beach. Many first-class hotels are on Paradise Island if you decide to spend the night. Each hotel has its own shops as well, or you can venture to Paradise Village that features shops similar to those on Bay Street in Nassau. The most exotic attractions are the Versailles Gardens and French Cloister, which were originally part of a 14th century monastery in France, but were eventually moved to Paradise Island by millionaire Huntington Hartford as a tourist attraction in the 1960s. After a hard day of play and sightseeing on Paradise Island, you might want to splurge on a taxi back to Nassau. In review, here's some general information on accommodations in Nassau. Prices are higher in winter months. Here are the top hotels in Nassau. And these are the top hotels on Paradise Island. Here's a list of moderate hotels. And these are places for those on a budget. Nassau and Paradise Island offer the widest array of night entertainment on the islands. After the sun sets, the city wakes up with a variety of shows, clubs, and attractions.
Nightlife here starts and ends with the casino, where you can play blackjack, American roulette, craps, baccarat, or slots until the wee hours of the morning, or until you run out of money.
There are two main casinos in the area, the Cable Beach Casino and the Paradise Island Casino. You must be 21 years old in order to gamble, but you can still enter the casinos if you're over 18. Bahamians and Bahamas residents are not permitted to gamble. The casinos open at 1 p.m. and stay open until 4 a.m. Dress is informal in the afternoon, but definitely formal in the evening. American money is accepted. The Cable Beach Casino occupies over 20,000 square feet and has 57 gaming tables and over 500 slot machines. Complimentary gaming lessons are offered every afternoon. The minimum bet in any Bahamas casino is $2, and there's no charge for admission.
The locals here have their own style of music and entertainment, and I think the name the Drumbeat Club sort of says it all. Seeing one of these shows will really get you into the spirit of the islands.
This is Peanuts Taylor, and his Drumbeat Club is one of several showcases for nightlife in the Bahamas. Others include the Le Cabaret at the Paradise Island Casino and Le Fantastique at the Cable Beach Casino. There are smaller theaters, clubs with local bands, and many discos too. Drinking age here is 18. Drugs are prevalent, but there are very strict laws regarding possession. If you come during December, you might want to check out the Junkanoo Festival, which is similar to Mardi Gras in New Orleans. In review, here's information on Bahamian nightlife. Hours vary at some clubs, but many stay open till the wee hours of the morning. Here are some recommended shows at various nightclubs. This is general information on the casinos. These are bars and clubs that may or may not still be popular when you arrive. Cocktails, beer, and wine are expensive in the Bahamas because they must be imported. Rum is made locally and is cheaper. There are many local rum drinks. There are other sites on New Providence Island away from the capital of Nassau. Coral World Marine Park is a new $10 million attraction featuring an underwater observatory 20 feet beneath the surface of the ocean. It's located at Silver Key, and admission is $10 for adults, $7 for children. Here you can watch a living coral reef and reef life without getting your feet wet. Coral World is located approximately halfway between Cable Beach and downtown Nassau. The Seafloor Aquarium is located near Fort Charlotte and also boasts an underwater reef tank as well as plenty of aquatic activities on the surface of the water. It's open from 9 to 5:30 Monday through Saturday. Admission is $4 for adults and $2 for children under 12. Here's a list of other sites to see around the island. And these are more sites on the far side of New Providence Island. Diversions in the Bahamas usually include some kind of sport. The locals here prefer soccer in the British tradition. At Haynes Oval Field, there are both soccer and cricket fields. Haynes Oval is open to the public. The Bahamas boast some of the best golfing in the Caribbean as well. 4 of the finest are in Nassau: the Cable Beach Golf Club, the South Ocean Golf Club, the Paradise Island Golf Club, and the Coral Harbor Golf Club. A 5th, the Lyford Key, is private and available only to members. Most people prefer diversions near the water.
This is one of the best places in the world to go scuba diving and skin diving, and you definitely shouldn't miss it. In fact, what you see not only below the water but above the water is so fantastic that a lot of movie companies have used it as their location.
There are many different diving tours to go on. Sun Divers is one of the more complete tours available, and I spoke with Joel Knowles about their services.
Joel, tell me a little bit about the tours that you offer.
Okay, first of all, Sun Divers have two trips daily. First trip leaves in the morning at 9 o'clock, 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock.
You have an afternoon tour also?
Yes, from 1 to 4. Mm-hmm. Yeah. The first trip takes us about approximately 45 minutes, half an hour, 45 minutes to get to the dive site. When we get to the dive site, we give a little briefing, telling you what not to touch.
And what's down there?
What's down there, what's expected to see. Mm-hmm. After that, we get everybody suited up, who's diving or whoever's snorkeling.
You don't need any experience to snorkel, right?
Well, sometimes people have slight problems, but we do have an instructor on board to give you a little lesson, a little briefing.
What if somebody has never dived before? Can they still go out with you on the same day?
Well, in a situation like that, what we usually do, we give a lesson in the morning at 10 a.m. On the beach right here. And if you pass the test, the course, or whatever, we take them out on the 1 o'clock trip, from the 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock trip.
In review, snorkeling means you just float on the surface of the water, but diving requires special skills and equipment. Sundivers is located at the Sheraton British Colonial Hotel. This is a list of golf courses in the area. The Atlantis is a 9-hole course, the rest are 18-hole. Soccer and cricket can be played at Haynes Oval. When you've seen all of Nassau, you still haven't seen everything the Bahamas has to offer, and I recommend an excursion to the big island of Grand Bahama and its main city of Freeport, coupled with its suburb of Lakaya. Bahamas Air flies to and from many of the islands. It's the national airline and will take you directly from Nassau to Freeport several times a day. There are also catamaran services and cruise ships that dock in Freeport from points in Florida. Sites in Freeport include the Garden of the Groves, prize-winning botanical gardens named for Wallace and Georgette Groves, the founders of Freeport. The dozen acres of lush vegetation are open all day, 7 days a week. There's also the new 40-acre Lucayan National Park with miles of footpaths and elevated walkways. Near the parks is the Grand Bahama Museum that traces 4 centuries of Bahamas history. But the main attraction, once again, is the ocean. There are over 60 miles of soft, sandy beaches surrounding the island with crystal clear water that's perfect for diving and snorkeling. But if you want to swim with some real party animals, head to the Underwater Explorer Society at the Lucayan Beach Hotel. Not only are you given detailed diving instructions, but you can mingle with the natives. Dolphins, that is. The club has diving equipment for rent or for sale, along with training tanks and the best lessons available anywhere on the islands. As in Nassau, you can get into the swing of things on dry land with some great golf courses, including the Lucaya Golf Country Club and the Bahama Reef Golf and Country Club. There are several tourist information centers at the airport and harbor, and one in the shopping district near the International Bazaar. Police here are friendly and helpful, and they'll aid you if you're lost or confused. It's near the International Bazaar.
At the markets and the souvenir stands, bargaining is the game that everyone plays, and it's a lot of fun. The idea is to offer about half the asking price and then negotiate from there.
The bazaar and the nearby straw market are full of great shops with all kinds of deals. Be sure to wear comfortable walking shoes because you'll spend hours strolling among the colorful plazas and winding lanes. Jewelry is also a good buy here, but prices in the upscale stores are not negotiable. There's a wide variety of restaurants as there are shops, but you're sure to find one to your liking. Driving is on the left. Car and scooter rentals are available at most hotels, and taxi rates are the same as in Nassau. Nightlife here centers around the casinos. The biggest is the Princess Casino, recently remodeled. It's located at the Bahamas Princess Resort and is open till 4 a.m. Freeport and Grand Bahama Island feature a multitude of activities and attractions. In review, here's information on an excursion to the island. Bahamas Air flies daily to Freeport from Nassau, and there are several ways to get there by water. Here's a list of the major sites in Freeport. And here's a list of sites outside the city. Shop at the International Bazaar and the Straw Market, and be prepared to do a little bit of walking. These are the top hotels on the island. This is a list of more moderately priced hotels. These are the top restaurants. And this is a list of the major nighttime attractions on the island. Don't make Grand Bahama Island your only excursion in the Bahamas. Surrounding Nassau are islands ranging from the vast Andros Island to Hemingway's favorite of Bimini.
There are hundreds of islands in the Bahamas, and most of them are referred to as the Family Islands or the Out Islands, and you should definitely see a few while you're here. Well, they all have something in common. Beautiful beaches, beautiful coves, great diving and snorkeling, and not too many people.
They lie scattered throughout the Caribbean and the Atlantic. Unlike glittering Nassau and Freeport, the lifestyle here is rustic, casual, and remote. But if you're simply into sun, sea, and air, you'll be certain to find an island with your name on it. No casinos or clubs mar the beautiful views here. Entertainment means a swim in the waves or a lazy horseback ride on the marble white sands. The only way to get to many of these islands is, you guessed it, by water.
The ideal way to see the outer islands is to charter a yacht or a sailboat with a captain and a crew. Or you could rent a boat and bareboat where you sail yourself. Whatever you decide, there are dozens of little inlets and private coves to go exploring in. And if you split the cost with a group of your friends, the prices can be reasonable.
You can take a modern powerboat or sailboat in any size or shape you want. Yachts can be chartered with or without crews by the week, but if you intend to bareboat without a crew, you have to demonstrate your sailing competence. Full or partial provisions are optional at extra charges. But when you're moored alone in your own private cove, with the sun setting over the waters, you'll know it's worth almost any price. In review, here's information on the Family Islands and how to get to them. You can charter a boat with or without crew to get to any of the islands. There's also mailboat service between the islands that's quite cheap but very slow. The following is a day-by-day sightseeing schedule for a 6-day stay in the Bahamas. The day you arrive, take a carriage ride or a walking tour of Nassau and spend the evening at one of the recommended nightclub shows. The second day, sightsee and shop and spend the evening at the Cable Beach Casino. Spend your third day at Paradise Island, sights and beaches, and the evening at the Paradise Island Casino. On your fourth day, take the Bahamas Air morning flight to Freeport. The fifth day, sightsee around Freeport during the day and spend the evening at the Princess Casino. Charter a boat on your last day and explore some of the Family Islands. If you haven't had your fill of tropical settings, I recommend a trip southeast to the U.S. Virgin Islands, starting with St. Thomas and its capital city of Charlotte-Amalie. Located just east of Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands were originally settled by the Dutch and English, and today they're governed by England and the United States and are one of the major tourist destinations in the Caribbean. St. Thomas, the main U.S. Virgin Island, can be reached by airplane or seaplane from San Juan, Puerto Rico. Its wide and friendly harbor also makes it a haven for yachters and cruise ships. Be sure to check in at the Tourist Information Center west of Emancipation Square for a map to find Government House, the governor's residence on Government Hill, and the famous 99 Steps.
You'll be doing a lot of climbing during your sightseeing and exploring of the islands, so it's important to not only wear comfortable shoes, but comfortable clothes as well.
You'll want to see the marvelous old churches located through the city, and this Moravian mission was built almost 2 centuries ago. Infamous pirates Bluebeard and Blackbeard used to hide out here, and now a resort marks the site. St. Thomas has some of the most beautiful beaches in the world. Megan's Bay is the most famous, and you can find just about every water activity imaginable here. You can windsurf, parasail, snorkel, or dive, and all beaches are open to the public. If you'd like to swim with the fish without holding your breath or putting on a diving tank, go to Coral World on the east side of the island near Cokie Point. It's an underwater observatory of marine life in all kinds of eye-popping colors. Don't miss the daily fish feeding at 11 a.m. In order to get around to see all these wonderful sights, you'll probably have to rent a car or a Jeep. It's a little expensive, so check around for prices. Your driver's license is good for 90 days on the island, and even though St. Thomas is a U.S. island, you still drive on the left. Taxis are plentiful and fairly inexpensive. Rates are based on destination rather than mileage. Scooters can also be rented on St. Thomas. You'll need a driver's license and either a credit card or cash deposit. There are also sightseeing taxi and bus tours. Shops run the gamut in St. Thomas, from high-class exclusive boutiques to outdoor stands. You might want to sample the local fruits, which are plentiful and cheap. Fresh squeezed juice is a specialty of the vendors. Jewelry is also inexpensive here, and remember, you can take home up to $800 worth of purchases duty-free if you're a U.S. citizen. You can also mail home a gift of up to $50 each day to any friend or relative, along with that postcard they expect. There are some fabulous hotels on the islands, and many of them are right on the beach.
The Stouffer Grand Beach Resort here in St. Thomas is a hotel where you can get the tropical culture but still not leave the United States. We're a four-diamond world-class resort that offers the tropical paradise set in a setting that is, in our mind, hard to beat. We're also spending close to $12 million in upgrading the facility in landscaping to create a real tropical paradise type of effect here.
Other top resorts include the Frenchman's Reef Resort on the south side of the island. You'll also find more moderately priced hotels like the Ramada Yacht Haven. One of the oldest and historical places to stay on St. Thomas is the famous Hotel 1829, built in that year as a private home and now a wonderful European-style inn. The Grand Hotel is no longer a hotel but has a fascinating history behind it, and my favorite historical inn is the Mark St. Thomas.
It has always been just a grand home here on the island. For about 50 years, it was the seat of the Anglican Church in the Caribbean. And most recently, it's been an elegant residence. We've converted it for the first time to public use. We currently have 7 elegant rooms in this old house. My partner, Mark Hitchen, and I are creating an atmosphere of where people who come feel as though they are visiting our home, but with full hotel service.
And whether you eat at your hotel or out on the town, you're sure to find Virgin Islands food unique and tasty. Restaurants are international, ranging from French to Italian and Mexican. But there are also plenty of local restaurants with specialties like conch, curried chicken, and mutton stew. Seafood is the primary island food, and there are great desserts like guava tart or soursop ice cream. Meals can be buffet style, and dress is mostly casual. Local chefs can fix up a dish called fungi, which are dumplings made of cornmeal, and cooked plantains are popular here as in the Bahamas. Spicy stews and curries are one-of-a-kind taste sensations, and be sure to test as many of the dishes and spices as you can. They're not expensive and they're worth the wait.
Life in the islands is slow and easy, and things take just a little bit longer, and that includes service.
So while you're waiting for your food, relax with a cool tropical drink, another island specialty. Bars and clubs abound on St. Thomas. Frenchman's Reef is the best on the island. Most nightlife here is low-key, but at Frenchman's Reef there's always a gala show or an act going on. The local paper, St. Thomas This Week, lists schedules for shows at Frenchman's Reef and elsewhere. Be sure to pick up a copy. Most hotels provide some musical entertainment, and once a week there's usually an outdoor barbecue with steel bands and limbo shows. Discos are still a rage on the islands, and you can dance to everything from modern pop to island drums. Dress in the clubs is casual, but shorts and tank tops are frowned upon. Daytime activities, not surprisingly, center around the water. You can take the Kontiki party boat for group trips around the island several times a day. You can even book a submarine tour on the Atlanta Sub. It's $45 a day for a high-tech look at underwater life. Deep sea fishing is one of the major attractions on the island. You can catch tuna, wahoo, and marlin in these waters, some of the biggest in the world. Chartering a fishing boat can cost about $400 a day, and that price includes all necessary fishing equipment. The captain and the mate do expect tips.
You really have to go deep sea fishing while you're here. It's really exciting, especially if you catch something. John, how many people can go out on one of these boats?
6 people would be the maximum on these boats. You don't want to take too many people on the boats because it usually gets in the way.
How long do you go out?
About 8 hours.
Really?
8 hours a day, yes.
That's great.
Yeah.
Now, I've never had any fishing experience. Do most people who come out have experience?
Majority of them doesn't have no experience at all. Very few comes along that have experience.
There are also overnight fishing excursions available on boats that can sleep up to 4 people along with the crew, but remember that accommodations are pretty basic. Some boats even provide snorkeling and diving equipment as well. It's not hard to learn how to deep sea fish. Once you have your line out, it takes a combination of keen observation and patience as you wait for a fish to strike. Even I found it no problem to handle one of those 200 to 400-pound monsters of the deep. And that's no fish story. Honest. Whether it's fishing, sailing, cruising, nightlife, or sightseeing, St. Thomas in the U.S. Virgin Islands has it all. It has to be a highlight of any Caribbean vacation. In review, here's what St. Thomas has to offer. This is a list of major sites on the island. These are some of the top hotels in St. Thomas. Here's a list of moderate hotels. These are some of the best restaurants. Here's where to shop on St. Thomas, and be sure to take advantage of the $800 worth of duty-free purchases. These are some night spots you may enjoy. And here's some information on deep sea fishing. There are some excursions you may enjoy. 40 miles south of St. Thomas is the island of St. Croix. You can take a seaplane or ferry to St. Croix from St. Thomas. This island is filled with even more of its Dutch and Danish ancestry than its more famous brother island. Here in Christiansted, Fort Christiansted dominates the square, a 350-year-old structure that's open to the public daily from 8 to 5 at no charge. Most of the buildings here were built by the Danish West India and Guinea Company in the 18th century. It's the largest of the Virgin Islands, 84 square miles. Although it's a smaller port than Charlotte-Amalie, Christiansted still attracts cruise ships and yachts from around the world. It's easy to see most of Christiansted on foot, beginning with its small, quaint downtown area. The St. George Botanical Garden covers 16 acres of lush land outside the city. Estate Whim is a former sugar plantation built in 1794. Most of the buildings here are in some way historically valuable and sport old Danish architecture from the port's earliest days. Some have been restored to their former glory and are worth a look. Taxis are easy to find in town. Car rentals are also available but are not cheap. You may want to split the cost with a group of friends and sightsee around the island together. 17 miles from Christiansted on the west side of St. Croix is Frederiksted with its Fort Frederick Museum. This is the site of the first foreign salute in 1776 to the flag of the new American Republic. There's just as much a selection of shops and restaurants here as there are in St. Thomas, and there are also a lot more unusual items that aren't available in Charlotte Amalie, such as toys and games for children and many adult accessories. St. Croix is a little more casual than St. Thomas, and another island with its own special charm is St. John. It only takes 20 minutes to cover the 4 miles that separate St. John from St. Thomas. It costs $2 for adults and $1 for children to take the ferry. This island has remained undeveloped for the most part. There are only about 3,000 permanent residents here, and the tourist business is the main island income. St. John is for the traveler who really wants to escape from 20th century life and retreat to a tranquil tropical paradise alone. Most activity takes place near or on the water, but everything still moves slow and easy. A soothing, sleepy ocean lifestyle that's sure to calm the most harried vacationer. Sun and sea lure the weary to stretch out on marble white sands and listen to the rhythm of the waves under a peaceful blue sky. Well, sometimes it's blue.
The weather here can best be described as changeable, and it does change quickly. It can cloud up and rain in less than 15 minutes, but it can also clear within the hour. And speaking of clouds, don't let them fool you. You can get just as badly burned when it's cloudy as when it's sunny outside.
For sunbathers, Cinnamon Bay, Canil Bay, and Trunk Bay are the best beaches on the island. Trunk Bay is unique. All the beaches feature swimming and snorkeling, but Trunk Bay has an underwater trail that's part of the Virgin Islands National Park. Diving instruction, equipment, and tours are available. Check with shop owners for rates and schedules. St. John has inland activities as well. There are several campsites, and I recommend the Cinnamon Bay campgrounds for those interested in roughing it on St. John. You'll have to rent a Jeep or mini-moke to get around the island. Four-wheel drive is essential for any explorations on St. John. That's because 2/3 of the island is given over to the Virgin Islands National Park, with many historic and rugged trails, including one through the Anneberg ruins. They're the remnants of a Danish plantation built in 1780, where parts of the sugar mill are still carefully preserved. Shopping is more limited on St. John, and the prices are a bit higher than on St. Thomas or St. Croix. Mongoose Junction is the best place for shopping, and you can get deals on local handmade items. You might even be tempted to shop for a home here. Dining in St. John is very casual, and for the most part al fresco. Nearly all food is imported here, so prices are high. But it's still a beautiful travel destination that's sure to win you over with its stunning tropical vistas. In review, here are the major sites on St. Croix and St. John. These are the top hotels on St. Croix. These are some of the top restaurants on St. Croix. These are some of the major sites on St. John. These are some of the top hotels there. And these are some of St. John's top restaurants. The following is a day-by-day schedule for a 5-day vacation in the U.S. Virgin Islands. The day you arrive in St. Thomas, explore downtown Charlotte-Amalie and see the dinner show at Frenchman's Reef. On the second day, sightsee in the morning, shop in the afternoon, and have dinner at one of the historical restaurants on the island. Spend your third day deep sea fishing. Take a seaplane to St. Croix on the fourth morning and return after dinner that evening. Spend your fifth day in St. John's snorkeling, sightseeing, and take the ferry back after dinner. The islands are an unforgettable vacation spot, and I think the best places to visit are the Bahamas and the U.S. Virgin Islands. The following is a list of general information to help you plan your trip. You don't need passports for the Bahamas or Virgin Islands, but you should carry some form of ID, such as a birth certificate. Don't plan on taking a bus from the airport. In the Bahamas, U.S. dollars are accepted, but you can exchange your money for Bahamian dollars at banks. The American dollar is the local currency in the U.S. Virgin Islands. You'll have to fill out an immigration form and have proof of citizenship in the Bahamas, but not in the U.S. Virgin Islands. Duty-free goods are $400 in the Bahamas and $800 in the Virgin Islands. Your driver's license is good in both locations, but you'll have to get a U.S. Virgin Islands permit. Drive on the left and keep within posted speed limits. Scooter riders must wear helmets. Temperatures are in the 70s and dress is casual, but you can never wear bathing suits in town. There is some crime in Nassau and Freeport. Women shouldn't go unescorted after dark, and don't leave your valuables unattended. St. Thomas has had some major crime problems. Keep your hotel door locked and never carry large amounts of cash. The police emergency number is 915. Electricity is the standard 120/60 and is never a problem except on some of the family islands. Plan to bring medicine for diarrhea and upset stomachs just in case. Watch out for sunburn and overexposure. Centipedes can cause illness with their bite, and you don't want to step on spiny sea urchins or live coral in the water. The usual tip is 15%, but many hotels and restaurants include it in their bills. Tip porters and bellmen 50 cents a bag. Tip maids $1 a day. There's a departure tax in the Bahamas, and you have to clear U.S. Customs before you board the plane. The Virgin Islands don't require customs inspection unless travelers are returning from outside the U.S. The tap water is safe on all the islands, but it tastes limey in the Bahamas. The Virgin Islands sometimes have water shortage problems in the dry season. The area code is 809 to all the islands, and you can dial direct. Calls from one Virgin Island to another are local calls. Service varies on the family islands.
Well, I hope you enjoyed seeing a little bit of the islands with me, and if you're planning a trip, maybe this will help you save a little time and trouble. And if you've already been, I hope it brought back some great memories for you. Be sure to join me next time from a brand new place somewhere else around the world. Until then, I'm Laura McKenzie. Bye-bye. I got one!